How and why do oxygen levels change all day long, every day in ponds and lakes? Okay, I'm going to try to use this simple diagram to explain what's called diurnal oxygen fluctuation. So my terrible handwriting says oxygen levels change. O2 in parts per million is higher or lower, and the number is irrelevant, but we'll get to that in a minute. This is a 5 a.m. measurement, a 5 p.m. measurement, back to a 5 a.m. measurement. Okay, so if we come out and measure an oxygen level at 5 a.m. right before the sun comes up, we're going to get the lowest level of the day, that point. As the sun comes up and sunlight hits the water, the plankton uses that sunlight in photosynthesis and creates oxygen. So as the sun comes up, oxygen levels begin to increase, and it increases all day long until, sometime late in the afternoon, we'll just hypothetically say 5 p.m. When it's been up the longest. And that's, of course, going to change depending on time of year. But for our example here, we'll say it's 5 p.m. We'll find our highest oxygen levels because plankton, phytoplankton, has been producing it all day long. And as the sun goes down and sunlight begins to go away, leave the pond, and as it gets dark, oxygen levels begin to drop. Well, why do they begin to drop? Because at night, plants use oxygen. Plants respire like fish and like we do, and use oxygen at night. So all night long, all the fish in the pond and all the plankton and all the plants and everything alive in the pond is using oxygen. Now, fortunately for the fish, the plants don't use as much oxygen at night as they produce in the daytime, but they still use it. So all night long, oxygen is being used up, and anytime you test it, if you tested it every hour, you would see it dropping back down to that 5, 6 a.m. where right before the sun comes up again, you would test your next oxygen test would be the lowest of the day, and if you test it every hour, you would see a cycle like this. Now, as long as you don't have anything too big, as far as usually where you get into trouble with oxygen levels at night is in the summertime. And that's because oxygen levels are lower in warmer water. So that's why I didn't put numbers on this side of the scale. If we were to do these tests in the wintertime, we might see this low oxygen level at like 7 parts per million, and then come out here at 5 in the afternoon and see it up at like 13, 14 parts per million because the water is cold in the wintertime. Test the same water, same spot, same pond, but come out in the summertime when it's extremely warm, and this low number will probably be like 5.5 or 6 parts per million. Go out in the afternoon and test it when it is at its highest, and it'll be like 9 parts per million. So considerably lower than the wintertime oxygen levels because of the difference in the seasons, you see. The water temperature plays a vital role to how high or low the oxygen levels are throughout the day, just by itself, by physics. Okay, so as pond managers, where we have to be very careful is to not let the fish population and the plant population, either being through like aquatic plants or also being through plankton. And if we're fertilizing the pond and producing a plankton bloom intentionally, some places you can't do that. Some places that would be foolish, but in Georgia you can do that. But if you were to stimulate the plankton bloom too high, what happens is at night, all that plankton uses up the oxygen and it takes it down to the point where it kills the fish. So that's what being a pond manager is understanding that everything in the system uses oxygen at night, and you have to manage the balance of the entire system so you don't crash it at night and with oxygen problems. I hope this helps. I know this isn't the best visual. There's probably a million better ways to try to do this, but this is the best way I could think of doing this quickly and to get the most information out. So if you hung along this long, I appreciate you. Thank you.